I think sometimes Christians in general, but especially evangelical Christians, are guilty of kind of using the Bible to escape philosophy. Real Christianity should be something that does not escape philosophy, but actually meets philosophy right where it's at. What I mean is that the basic philosophy isn't a man-made system. Philosophy is human thinking in general, human striving in general. Basically, we believe God has, He created the world, He made His truth relatable to us, and even though many times philosophy has become a thing for academics where you make up theories about life and about random things, real philosophy should be something that meets each of us where we're at in life. Like, just when we ask random questions about the universe and the meaning of things, that's what philosophy should be. Unfortunately, a lot of times philosophy isn't like that, and I think that's the kind of philosophy that evangelicals sometimes wish to escape from, and I admire that sort of desire to want to escape that. But we have to return to what philosophy really is, and we can't use the Bible to kind of escape exploring certain questions more deeply. Another way to say it is humans have real questions about life, like why is there pain, why is there suffering, why is there love, why is there a God, is there such a thing as morality? These are questions that people who have never been exposed to the Bible, they have questions about these things. And if you take the example of people, of classical philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, these are people who are not obviously ever introduced to Christianity because Christ hadn't come yet. They probably didn't know, well, I don't know about this, but I assume they didn't know much about Judaism either. Or at least they didn't adhere to that explicitly. So philosophy really is, if you've ever encountered Aristotle and Plato, these are men who were really seeking the truth in the best way they could, without inheriting the tradition of Judaism or obviously Christianity. So that's what philosophy really is, and that's where Christians need to learn to meet. If they want to be able to converse with the world, they have to be able to think about these philosophical questions that real human beings in their sincerity are bringing up. Because if Christians can't meet these philosophical questions where they are at, it's not being very loving, it's not being very intelligent, I guess. There's a quote I know that I heard somewhere, that truth can understand error, but error cannot understand the truth. And what I get out of that quote is basically when you have the intelligence that God can give, there's nothing in this world that can't be eventually understood, or it's basically Christ himself, the fount of wisdom. He sees where each of us go wrong, and he sees anytime we sincerely seek an answer, he sees the thing we're striving for, even if we can't see it. So in that sense, when Christians are given wisdom from God, they need to be able to meet these philosophical arguments where they are at. They need to determine where people are going wrong. Not necessarily, from the Bible, although sometimes the Bible can be a useful tool for that. But we need to be able to just speak on the terms to meet non-Christian philosophers where they are at, adopt their terminology in some cases, see what they mean by their terms, use those terms, use those concepts to say, yes, I understand what you're saying. Here's where I think you could go deeper. Here's where I think you might be mistaken. I think that's Christians in general, especially the evangelical world, needs to learn to do that. Not view philosophy as a departure from Scripture, but use it as a thing that actually connects with Scripture. There's a quote from Joseph Piper, where he says something along the lines of, philosophy always has an open window to theology. So there's this organic flow into one and the other. Philosophy needs to be able to connect with theology in an organic way, not as an intrusion, not as a compromise, but as a legitimate connection between the two. Philosophy is basically human striving for the truth. Theology is a very similar thing, but theology, especially in the Catholic world, is founded on the revelation of God, who has entered our world, who has encountered human striving directly, and so that's how the two of them connect.